Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the daily podcast in which we float right to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And today we're joined once again by our friends David Stoker and Chris LaSalle from the Star Trek Minute podcast. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey,
Yeah.
glad to be back.
You guys are here.
Yes.
Today we're here to talk about Minute 20. Minute 20 begins with Indy lying back for a relaxing raft ride down a lazy river and ends with a mysterious man startling Short Round and Willie.
That's about it.
That's the minute.
Yeah.
That's this minute.
That's
So if you'd like to check us out,
Yeah.
actually, I have something. It's second 54. At second 54 this minute, we have a beautiful eye alert. That
the
guy
guy?
has
yeah.
has beautiful eyes. And we talked a lot about eyes and how beautiful eyes they are, how beautiful eyes can be in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember there's the remember Indy has beautiful eyes. There's a close up of his eyes in
Yeah.
sort of in the streets of Cairo. And then we also had a whole separate minute where we talked about how beautiful Marion's eyes were.
Yeah.
So, here we are. I'm just saying, it's a beautiful eye alert. Second 54.
Well, it's a fantastic shot altogether. Just the way they come in close on his face, and
Yeah.
he has nice striking features, the eyes included, and this just makes the minute for me. This what make the minute otherwise is a little boring, but this makes the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even the shot right before that, when there's the long shot of them in the raft, and then after a few seconds, you got the guy's feet in the foreground.
Yep.
And I never noticed before, but it's like it might even be just a very straightforward, normal zoom, but it looks weird in a way. Like the raft seems to, like they just slowly zooming onto the raft until they stop. But it almost seems there's something slightly unnatural about it. That's kind of neat, like that I never really noticed before. Almost like the weird Hitchcock sort of zoom into Chief Brody in Jaws or something. Like it almost feels like that a little bit.
So I thought that exact same thing. Like when they pan in, when they zoom in on the shaman guy, and I thought, is this Vertigo, Jaws? And so I wasn't sure because it looked kind of like it. And so I actually wrote to Mitch and John over at the Alien Minute.
Oh, cool.
Mitch being a film professor, and Mitch said it is not. But he said, here's what I'll actually just read what he said. It's probably easier. He said, it's a low angle pushing in, and if you watch the background, it goes out of focus. Now, because of the low angle and desire to keep his face in focus and the background going out of focus, you have three things happening. Compare that to the Jaws shot, which is 1, straight on, 2, dolly back, and 3, zoom in, which makes him seem static as the background focus seems to magically shift. Both have 3 elements working, just different elements.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're great. Yeah. Alien Minute, if you guys, anyone's looking for another fun podcast.
So the beautiful eyes, right? My note was just before that when Short Round and Willie see this guy, they like freak out like they're seeing some hideous thing, and I was like, "Geez, that's not a nice reaction.
awful.
He's just some guy standing on the shore."
Like Indy takes it totally in stride.
Yeah.
But are they simply surprised that there's somebody standing there, or are they surprised by how he looks, or just I don't know. It's weird. I guess I'm
think I would
guarding
fall
myself. Wait, what?
I'd fall somewhere in between because I wouldn't be like calm like Indy, but I don't think I'd go like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
I think I'd be like,
Son of a gun, there's a guy standing there.
Hey,
Although he
there's a
does
dude
look very
there.
stern.
Yeah.
Like if you're just kind of relaxed and you got your head back and you're like, oh,
Right.
it's just me in the river, and you look up and there's a guy standing just staring at you. I
Right.
might be like,
he
what?
did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why is this guy so frightening? They're just either like, wow, there's somebody here, or with the whole sort of Western theme, I guess as we say, light racism here. You're looking at it through the Western lens of like, oh my God, is that a sitar? Playing?
George Harrison is right behind him.
Yeah, I should have ordered appetizers.
So there was a we talk about how the whole raft scene was taken out, like it was originally going to be in Raiders, and that raft scene also had a shaman in it. In the original raft scene in Raiders, what happened is, they fall out of the plane in the raft, and Indy slides down the mountain, and as he's sliding down the mountain towards Marion's bar, he slides right through a Sherpa village, and there's the script says, they race by an amazed Sherpa shaman, and Indy waves cheerfully at him.
They just wouldn't let it go.
Really.
I think this is a better intro than that, though.
That's true. Well, but one thing I noticed, and did you guys notice this? When they close in on the shaman, I mean, they play sort of sitar music, but then also they have the animal noises from Dagobah.
Oh my
sure.
God.
Yeah, and they have the animal noises from Dagobah.
That's going on the list.
Yeah, well, and also just it's like, so what are we doing with that? Why is somebody saying, you know what, whatever flies around in Dagobah, that's obviously appropriate here.
Are you guys still collecting evidence for Han Solo's fever dream?
Yeah, there's been a surprising amount in Temple of Doom. Yeah, a lot more than I expected to see. Almost every minute's had something.
It's actually true, isn't it?
I wasn't even really putting it in the Star Wars Fever Dream Museum just yet. I was going to give it to you, Pete. But I thought also it just was strange. Why would you have those caws from Dagobah there? I guess it's just
how do you know
exotic.
that Ben Burt didn't get the Dagobah caws from Indian animals? Oh.
Oh, well, you don't, because you don't hear that thing. You don't hear it. You don't hear those animals in Star Wars.
What? What do you mean?
Forget it. Just cut it.
We do. He is a little bit of a Yoda character, like a little bit of a Yoda figure. Like he's the wise shaman.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
it's true.
I see that.
Yeah.
He's got white frizzy hair. But like we mentioned, I think in minute one, I think when the Cole Porter was about to start, and you just got like the 5 Bugs Bunny "We're in Asia" notes, da 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 da, and we're like, yeah, that's not cool. It's hard to get away with that with a straight face. But here, okay, like as Jer mentioned, the sitar is playing, but that seems. They're not playing like the Bugs Bunny sitar theme. They're just sort of like, I don't even know what that would be, but it's like, it seems appropriate. It seems like in a more appropriate shorthand here than da 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 da.
So this is respectful racism?
Okay, that's my question. Is it race? Like, I don't know if it is racism in this case. Like, it seems like, like Jer was saying, like a while ago, like if you were in Chicago in the 1920s, you hear like some jazz playing. And if you were in Russia, you'd hear like, what do they play in Russia? I don't know. Why did I say Russia? I don't know what instruments they play in Russia. If you're in France, you hear an accordion. It's like
in
there's
Russia,
that shorthand.
they do the foot thing, the foot dancing thing. Yeah.
It's the thing they talk about in Dr. Zhivago, but I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to do it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't
The
Russia.
balalaika.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Pete said it for me. Which he never plays in the movie. They make a big deal of him playing. They say that he's great at playing it, but he never touches it in the entire movie. Anyway.
I guess they're trying to set the scene here. And they're telling you, without telling you, and without Indy telling you, they're telling you that Indy's right when he says, quote, they're in India.
Yeah, he might have said, like, don't you hear the sitar playing? We're in India. Duh.
Exactly.
So, Tom, you mentioned Bugs Bunny. I had Bugs Bunny in my notes. Did you guys already talk about that in previous minutes? Because
I think it only came up in terms of that, in terms of like, as a kid, when you hear it, da 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 da, that's like your main connection to that is probably like Bugs Bunny cartoons, like an Asian person shows up and they would play that, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's hysterical. I don't know any better.
Although Bugs Bunny also came up last week or earlier this week with Hair Lift.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
That was exactly it. My whole from the time they jumped out of the plane, I'm like, isn't this all lifted from Bugs Bunny? Okay, so you already talked about it, but it's not just me.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. All right, cross that note out. Well, one thing I was, is when you guys gave us these minutes and assigned them to me, one of the things I was excited about, I was hoping to see in the minutes was something that that drove the need for PG-13. Have you guys talked about that already? That Temple of Doom was one of the.
I think we may have mentioned it, but we haven't
we may
really
have mentioned it last
it.
season, but I don't think.
So I was hoping there was going to be something gory that we could say, and that's why we have PG-13 today.
Well, maybe that's what was off screen. Maybe that's what Willie and Short Round are scared about. They see something that they couldn't show.
Yeah. There's a bunch of the guy just chopped off a bunch of heads and they're piled up behind him, but we don't get to see it. It's grisly.
He still has beautiful eyes.
He does. And nice legs. The shot before that.
Once again, the one note from my sister, Professor Chrissy Porter.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I love this,
at
by
second, the way. She writes in, at second 39, Christy wants to know why Willie is holding Admiral Akbar's head. And I actually went back and looked, and I was like, oh, stop it. 730 head, man. Huh? That does look like Admiral Akbar's
Totally
head.
does.
That's funny.
Second 39.
Also got his mouth and everything. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm disturbed.
It's a raft.
He's good at the close read. That one.
Oh my God.
Well, so go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna. Well, speaking of it's a raft, I'm a little disappointed that we have the Star Trek guys on, and no one has said Raft of Khan. I think that's a failing.
Groan.
I'm sorry.
That's our next T-shirt, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, I have one, guys. A question for you guys, as the Indiana Jones experts. Have you guys talked about Short Round and what his relationship is to Indiana Jones? Do we ever learn that?
We do a little bit more once they get to the Pankot Palace. We get a little more information.
Yeah, that one's.
But that's a good question, though, because we've seen scenes where he's driving the getaway car, despite the fact that, Indy was just poisoned and Wuhan was murdered, and hey, here's this 11-year-old.
Life goes on.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And then for him to be driving the getaway car while everybody's getting shot at. And then he also, right before this minute, they're on the plane and they show Indy and he has his arm around Short Round in a paternalistic way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, does it get a little murky? I mean, is Short Round going to wind up seeing a shrink?
God, I hope so.
Well,
Yeah.
I definitely don't want it to be that. I was just wondering if there was some backstory there. If he just hired him off the street, or if he was the son of a friend who died, like Wuhan, or.
Well, I think we know that his parents died in the Japanese bombing of Shanghai. I don't remember if we know that. I think we might hear that later in the movie, or if not.
Yeah,
God,
no,
really?
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no,
do?
that's what it is. Yes,
Wow.
his parents
I don't remember
died,
that
and
at all.
Pete is right.
And so, Indy's, I think, kind of his caretaker, which I think is disturbing. And he's teaching, obviously, Short Round's learning some very inappropriate behavior, between some of the things he calls Willie or some of the.
You're not using your turn signal.
Yeah.
This is so touchy-feely 2016. Short Round's learning some inappropriate behavior.
So I found out that actually Short Round tried to pick Dr. Jones' pocket, and that's how he came to know him.
No, wait, they do say that in the movie.
They
don't
say
they?
that when they're
Yeah.
camping.
Yeah.
They did that whole camp scene. She says something like, "How did you meet your little friend or acquaintance or whatever?"
Yeah, he's a little pickpocket.
Yeah, he's a pickpocket.
Yeah,
That's
with a heart of gold that he picked out of somebody's pocket.
Well, we notice now we see Short Round without a hat here, right?
His hat was
yeah.
just ruined in like a few seconds ago. Yeah.
Is this so? I mean, is this the only time we see him hatless?
Now, is on that point, Jerry. Indy is hatless as well. Is this
Yeah.
a duality thing where when Indy has his hat on, Short Round has his hat on, and then when he has his hat off, Short Round has his hat off?
Oh man.
Maybe Short Round saw that Indy didn't have his hat on. He's like, oh, oop.
Well, this is about to go to a really dark place, guys. But
Uh-oh.
so is this what they're referencing in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with all the hats and mutt? Like there's a whole scene at the end about
Oh, God.
who gets the hat and who's got a hat, who doesn't have a hat.
So it's like so Short Round's Giants cap is his like sort of trainer Indiana Jones hat.
Because
that's what
Mutt
he gets
never
as a
gets
kid.
a hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm yeah.
That's fine.
Also, Indy's hair is quite dry right now in the raft.
And very nicely styled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I was wondering, why did he take his hat off there? Because if there's one time you're going to want your hat on, it's when you're in the, the blinding sun, the jungle sun.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and every time
Yeah.
he sleeps, right? He's taking a nap on the raft. Every time he sleeps, he's always got his hat over his face, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
very out of character.
It actually disappears from one shot to another. Although, I don't know, between the two shots, it's kind of set up as if like some time may have passed. Like it cuts from them on the raft, like kind of finally relaxing after falling off a cliff and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then it cuts like the top of the trees, sort of like later that morning, like, and it pans
Well,
down
and
to them.
there's a lot of people with their feet out of the boat,
Yeah.
that's not good whitewater rafting.
And probably not in India either.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
not
water
good
moccasin or
whitewater
something.
rafting rules. You're not paying attention to the rules.
Yeah. Arms and
Supposed to-
feet inside at all times.
Yeah.
That's how it is at Busch Gardens.
Yeah. I thought that's what you meant by whitewater rafting, is going to Busch Gardens and being in the big thing.
I'd be afraid an alligator would come out of the water and
Yeah.
take me down,
Let's be clear.
or
it
some
would be
giant,
a-
or some giant snake.
Yeah.
Be a crocodile, right? It would be a crocodile.
Yeah.
Sorry, crocodile.
It's the same thing, right? Sorry. But yeah, no, you're right. India, of all people, should be like, oh, they have snakes in India, right? Arms and feet inside the raft at all times.
So I got a question. David, Chris, one thing you guys like to do over on the Star Trek Minute podcast is have guests rank the Star Trek movies. And I was
yes.
curious if you guys would be interested in ranking. I'd be curious what your ranking is of the Indiana Jones movies.
You want to go first, Dave?
I'll go first. I like them in the order they released. So I'll go Raiders first, Temple second, Last Crusade, and then that other movie that happened way later. I'm a big fan of Temple of Doom. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Why did you put it above Last Crusade?
I love the bad guy in this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
What do you
okay.
love? You like
I
Mola
love
Ram.
I love Mola Ram. I feel like he's just a fantastic bad guy. And I feel like the bad guy in Last Crusade, they sort of did that. Like I feel like it's a little bit of a rehash. Different, but but I feel like been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can too.
Well, what do you like about Mola Ram?
As a villain,
Yeah, just as a great villain.
that he has. So to be a great villain, you have to have something that the hero does not, and the villain in this one has no scruples about anything, killing otherwise to accomplish his goal, and I feel like he's just the perfect foil for Indy in that respect.
Who also has no compunctions about killing to reach his goal.
Yes, that is also true.
But that's great. It made me think Indy scruples. Indy scruples.
The wheels are spinning.
Yeah. He lands on just the side of scrupulous, I guess.
He doesn't rip hearts out of men's chests.
Right.
Hey, he does out of women's though.
Oh,
But
Oh,
Cool. How about you, Chris?
mine's a little different as I've been thinking about it. So mine is Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, and then Crystal Skull. And it was funny as I was thinking about it, as you guys were talking, I'm like, and that's actually the order in which I've seen them the most. I've seen Crystal Skull once, right? I've seen Raiders the most. Yeah, I've seen Raiders the most, and I think I might have seen Last Crusade. Watch that one more than Raiders, but it's definitely not my favorite. It's just I don't know. I must have had access to it to be able to see it more times. But I put Last Crusade above this one, I think, just because I love Sean Connery. I love the relationship and just all the interactions. There's humor. The humor in that one is great. It's not that there's not a ton of heavy-handed humor, which I'm not a big fan of. I like the more subtle stuff. So, and yeah, it's a little bit of a rehash, like to Dave's point, but I don't know. There's still enough adventure in it and camaraderie.
Oh, yeah.
I always get a kick out of.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I feel like they're all close. But if you're asking me, putting my feet to the fire, I will.
Yes.
I feel like I'm not allowed to say anything. Like, we're not supposed to say how much we like Temple of
we
Doom versus the others.
keep it secret. Yeah.
So I'm going to be the only one to go out there and say, hey, I love Temple of Doom. Crickets.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm a bigger fan of Temple of Doom now than I was when I first saw it. Like, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Like doing this minute by minute version of it.
Yeah, I think I definitely appreciate it more every time I see it. So I will agree with that. I always think I'm like, that one's okay, but I always enjoy it every time I see it. So I think it's a pleasant surprise each time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming full circle with Temple of Doom because when it came out, it was like the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. I was totally into it and completely gung-ho, and it ruled my life for like a year or something. And then, like, as I got older, I was like, that movie's got issues and problems, and Willie doesn't work for me and stuff. And then now watching it again for this, I'm like, oh, no, Temple of Doom, okay. So, yeah, I'm on board. Jared's having a hard time.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time. Well, I can't stand Willie. Short Round is like a B-.
What?
Oh, yeah?
It's just, I like Short Round, but if a C is average, you're like, he's above average, it's fine. It's just, it's like, it's the same as the Star Wars problem. All the that they did, it's like they didn't watch their own movie except for the part where Indy pulls the gun out and tries to kill the swordsman. You're like, yeah, that's the you're not supposed to be paying attention to. Like, likable characters that aren't wooden with good dialogue and the subtlety. I think, as one of you guys mentioned, the subtlety.
Yeah.
You know, without this, like, bombast of, now's when you're going to get a chuckle. And it's delivered like that, too. And you know, the one thing that really, really does chat my ass on this, and it will the whole movie, is... I know,
we
sorry.
shouldn't have asked his opinion. Yeah.
No, it's that they
PG-13.
don't, at no point, and it's what one of our other guests said, at no point do you ever think they're actually in danger here, despite the fact that they're going down the mountain, they jumped out of a plane. This should be the most dangerous stunt Indy has ever done. And he's, that wasn't so bad, was it? and then she's literally, they land in this thing, and she's like, I hate getting wet. Like, dude, you're taken away from the yeah. I mean, like, think of, you know, Satipo, Barranca. You're like, no. They had a cello. When they wanted to show that guy was bad, it went dun 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 dun, and that was it. So I'm sorry. That was just my Thursday night rant. I'm sorry. But I agree with you, Pete. It is more enjoyable when you look at it at a minute at a time. It is. And I don't think there are no redeeming. I mean, the worst part about it is I love Indiana Jones and I love Harrison Ford. So literally you can hand me all this horrible and I still love it because it's Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Well, I got one more question for you guys. As Star Trek guys, I'm curious on your take on who would win in a fist fight, Indy or Kirk?
Oh, come on. Kirk.
He's
got the haymaker.
Yeah,
I want to say Kirk, too.
Wow.
He's got
Kirk
the
would do that
double-handed
crazy thing
back
where he like
blow,
jumps
yeah.
up and kicks him with both feet,
Yeah, exactly.
and they would both have ripped shirts at the end.
Yeah, they would both have ripped shirts.
Yeah, it would be close. It would be close, but yeah,
He
I
fought a
would pick
Gorn and won. Need
Yeah.
I say more?
Yeah, all he has to do is find some sulfur and some diamonds and some. Right, Jared? Right? You with me?
All I'm saying is you have to think in context. Like Indy uses his environment well.
Yeah.
Remember the
Throwing the sand in his face. Or
throwing the sand in his face and
Jerry,
the
Jerry,
German Nazi.
Kirk made a cannon out of just rocks and bamboo shoots that he found.
I
God,
don't
you're
remember
depressing.
that episode.
I don't even know how we bleep that one. Yeah.
Chris, when are we having Jerry on?
Yeah.
I gotta learn how to bleep things. Oh God.
Oh boy.
Well,
It is fun, and the reason I asked, I wasn't trying to put your feet to the fire, but I really did want to know why you put it second and what you like about Mola Ram. Yeah.
I think he's a great villain. I just think so we're going through we went through Wrath of Khan and look at the villainy of Khan. He is bound by vengeance to go after and kill Kirk for what he did. Now while Mola Ram isn't for vengeance, he's crazy like Khan. He believes his path is the truth and that no one else can tell him that. He's basically trying to take over the world, just like Khan was. He wanted a ship and kill people and go take over the universe.
Yeah.
So-
and he knows he's right.
Yeah, Mola Ram's a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
well, and we've I think it's established that Star Trek takes place in our future, so I kind of like that Khan also comes from northern India. So this movie was he probably rented this quite a bit, like back in the 90s. He might have been a role model for him.
There may be some
Exactly.
distant relations there.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think of Short Round?
I love Short Round, and I love that there's. I love his attitude. I love everything he says. I mean, even the scene where he's driving the car and he's got the blocks tied to his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help but see him as it's Data, right? In Goonies, the character he plays in Goonies. I
Yeah.
can't help but see him with the coat and the all the gear that he has underneath there. I'm like, that would be exactly what he'd be wearing in Goonies. And so maybe it's I'm getting the characters intermixed, but I love both of them. And one of the things that knocked me out when I was doing a little bit of research, that the actor who plays Short Round, Jonathan, I don't know how you pronounce his last name,
Jonathan K.
Kwa, he's my age, and he was born like a couple weeks before me, and I've always seen him as a little kid, even when I saw this and even when I saw Goonies. I'm like, oh, it's that kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh crap, he's my age. That's wild. So that was a fun tidbit, but
that's what's
yeah.
so great about seeing him is that as a kid, I was I think 10 or 11 when this movie came out, and you're like, oh my God, that could be me right now. I mean, it wasn't. but it could have been. Yeah.
I'm with you though, Chris. I'm definitely team Short Round. I love his attitude. I love his moxie, as Tom said.
Yeah.
his moxie, nice.
Yeah. So I think we're most of us are team Short Round, but where are we on team Willie?
I think I'm the most pro Willie of the three of us, or the least anti Willie. Maybe that's a better way to.
That'll be interesting to see as we go, because I was shocked when I had, before we watched it for this, I hadn't seen it in like 20 or 30 years, maybe, honestly. Well, probably 20 years. But and I remembered hating her guts, and like she was just sort of like the Jar Jar of the movie and stuff. But I was surprised that I actually liked her a lot more this time, but not across the board. Like there's a lot of up and down. So
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see where I should keep a tally of like thumbs up and thumbs down and see where I come out at the end.
I hate her. I love her. I hate her. I love her.
Well, David and Chris, where can people find you if they would like to hear more of your great podcast? And if they want to find you online.
Sure. Folks can find us at Star Trek Minute, at StarTrekMinute.com. We've got a podcast where we're analyzing and breaking down the Star Trek films 1 minute at a time, just like you guys. We're also on Twitter at Star Trek Minute. And you can also join the Star Trek Minute Listener Federation on Facebook. That's a group you can join and voice your opinions on the minutes we're talking about, or other films, or favorite moments in Star Trek, all that jazz. And we're everywhere on the social media, so check us out.
Definitely. And Tom.
Check us out on IndianaJonesMinute.com and find our group on Facebook, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade, to join the conversation offline. And find us on Twitter at Indiana Jones Min. And, subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play and all those other places, and leave us reviews and tell the world about us. Thank you.
You can also find us right back here if you forget any of those things Tom mentioned, right where you found us today, Monday, for minute 21 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
That was short round. Short round being.
That was the short round gasp.
That was the short round gasp.